Hi everyone, it's Mr. Hill here from the Lutterworth College Geography Department, and I'm here just to talk you through a few techniques and tips which will help you to support your child with their learning and help them with their revision for their upcoming geography GCSE exams. So to start with, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what the exams for GCSE Geography look like. There will be 3 separate written exam papers for the summer exam series. Component 1, which is investigating geographical issues, and Component 2, problem-solving geography. The key thing to remember for these 2 papers is that the content of the questions for these 2 papers comes from all 3 of the GCSE themes. So the papers aren't split theme 1, theme 2, theme 3. They're split more by the style of questions and the skills which are examined on those papers. So it's really important that when it comes to exam time, they understand that they can be asked questions about theme 1, theme 2 and theme 3 on any of the papers. There have been some small amendments for the 2021 exam series due to the lost learning time due to lockdown. This is only a small amendment and it only applies to the 3rd exam paper. So component 3 is the applied fieldwork paper. Obviously, we've been unable to undertake fieldwork like we would in a normal year. So to reflect this, that exam paper has been slightly shortened from 1 hour 30 to 1 hour 15. The only change on this paper, apart from the reduced time, is that students won't be asked questions which rely on their own experience of fieldwork. So they'll be asked questions about fieldwork and the way that fieldwork is undertaken. So they'll need to know how to prepare for fieldwork, how to collect data, how to present data, and how to evaluate the fieldwork process. But there'll be no specific questions where they have to name their own examples of fieldwork which they have undertaken themselves. So the key thing I want to make you aware of is the GCSE revision folder which all pupils will have. So the GCSE Geography revision folder will be a clear plastic wallet which students have been adding to from year 9 onwards when we first started looking at the GCSE content when we started on theme 3. All students should hopefully have this folder available at all times, and in that folder will be this geography revision checklist. As you can see, it's been broken down into each of the 3 themes and then further broken down into each of the topics. The second column shows the page in the revision guide which relates to that topic. And a lot of this revision can be structured around the GCSE revision guide, which all pupils should hopefully have. Next to that, we have 4 columns where students can tick off when they've completed these revision activities. And obviously the first thing we want students to look at is using the revision guide questions. We want them to use these because they are really focused on each one of those topics. The other thing we'd like them to do for each topic is complete a revision poster and finally complete a revision placemat, which I'll talk to you about shortly. We also want them to complete a 4th revision format. So in effect, we want them to do 4 different types of revision for each one of those topics. Hopefully by year 11, they'll have already done a lot of these in year 10 and towards the end of year 9. So if you do see your students' geography revision folder and checklist, there should already be quite a few ticks on there already. But it's really important that they do a variety of different revision techniques for each one of those topics to really embed that learning. So we did mention revision placemats, and revision placemats are one of the most popular ways which our students find to revise. And what they do is they allow students to condense down a whole topic into one A3 sheet of paper, and that is structured so they can pick out the key element of that topic onto one side of A3. So they're available for each of the topics, and we can email those to you and email them to the students. There are also printed copies available should students want to take a printed copy away to help them with their revision. One of the other things which we are really keen on are knowledge organisers. These are quite similar to the placemats. They allow you to condense a whole topic down into one side of paper. These are a bit more visual than the placemats. They include more diagrams, maps, graphs, etc. We do have knowledge organisers for each of the topics, but we would recommend that students use these only for reference. We like for students to undertake more active revision than passive revision. So simply reading through these knowledge organisers, which somebody else has created, is very passive. It's actually creating these resources, which helps for learning. So by all means, we can send these to you and each student can have a copy of these electronically, but we recommend they use them as a starting point for their own revision and that they actually take these knowledge organisers and create their own. So they're kind of a mix of keywords and diagrams in order to get all of the key knowledge for each topic condensed down onto one page. It's really important that they understand the key terminology which goes with the geography curriculum. We do have printed keyword glossaries, but again, we recommend that students create their own keyword glossaries by finding examples of different definitions of the same word and then finding one which they are really comfortable with, which they're able to recall quickly and accurately when it comes to the exam. Keywords are also important, not only because it helps with their understanding of the question, but also for the spelling, punctuation and grammar marks on the geography papers. Students are unable to get either 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 4 for spelling, punctuation and grammar if they're not using a wide range of key geography terminology. So we really recommend that that is an activity which they do, sort of creating these keyword glossaries. To support this, we also have keyword grids. These allow students to test their knowledge of those definitions. Those keyword grids, again, are available in physical format or electronically from the geography department, and they can be used for a variety of different things, such as spotting connections between keywords, and they can be colour-coded by theme, and they can be color-coded where connections are seen between those different keywords to sort of link up their understanding of that topic. Another method which we're guessing all students are already well aware of and are comfortable with are cue cards and flashcards. I've briefly put onto the slide here the litmus system of actually using those cue cards. It's a very useful method for actually making sure that after those cue cards or flashcards have been created, that they are being revised from in the most productive way. So it's a way of simply organising those cue cards based on the level of comfort you have with the content on that cue card. Obviously, the more cue cards you have, the better, because we really want to see cue cards which are laid out in simple terms with either a keyword or a key concept, and then a single sentence or only a couple of bullet points about that on the other side of the cue card. So cue cards work best when you have a lot of them and each one is very specific about a certain part of the course or a certain key concept. Something which we're also promoting is this idea of a foldable. A foldable is another way of condensing down information. And what you do with a foldable is you fill one side of A4 with all of the information you know about a topic. Then you fold it in half and condense that down into 5 key sentences. Fold it in half again and then write onto that smaller piece of paper just 5 key words about that topic, and then finally fold it in half one final time and write the title of that topic onto that sheet. Hopefully, after using these during their revision, what they'll be able to do is simply open it up to the first fold where they've just got the 5 key words, and from that they should be able to recall all of the information from the full side of A4 paper. There are lots of different types of foldables, and examples of them can be seen on the screen and they can be found on the internet. Making them visual using a wide range of colours and a wide range of formats obviously means that the students are investing more time in actually creating these resources, and like we say, the time they invest in creating the revision resources is actually where the learning is going to take place. So being more active and actually creating these is the most productive part of the revision process. Revision clocks are another resource we have available for students to take away with them. And again, we have them available electronically. The way these work are that students give themselves a set amount of time per section, and they try to fill in the revision clock using their notes if they wish, or doing it from memory. You can spend up to 5 minutes on each section, so spend a whole hour on one topic, or shorten that down and spend 2 minutes filling in each section of the revision clock. So within half an hour, you've kind of had an opportunity to demonstrate all of your knowledge about that topic. Revising through images is another technique which we promote quite a lot in geography. Like the old saying goes, a picture paints 1,000 words. So instead of trying to revise from lots of writing, what they can do is find an image which depicts a key concept. So an example of this is on the screen. This is an image which we really think depicts this idea of multiple deprivation, which is a concept from theme 1 of the GCSE course. So if they take a photo which is memorable and then annotate onto it the key information, that will help them to recall it come the time of the exam. So this example on the screen, we can see in the foreground we have an example of litter. This depicts multiple deprivation because it shows that this area is deprived of cleanliness. In the background, we have signs of vandalism with the graffiti and the boarded up windows. This is a sign of crime, so that obviously depicts that the people living in this area are deprived of safety. And the boy at the front, you could argue that he is out playing in the street because he's not in education, so he's deprived of suitable education. He's also wearing clothes which are clearly inappropriate for the weather because he's had to tuck his arms inside his jumper or his t-shirt. So therefore he is deprived materially. So it could be a sign of poverty and material deprivation as well. So this one image really sums up that key concept. So if the students are able to find images which are memorable, it will really help them with understanding those concepts a lot better than simply reading lots and lots of words. Keeping up to date with the news and documentaries is a good way of adding to their case study knowledge. Anything with David Attenborough on is probably going to be linked in some way or another to one of the geography themes. So it's well worth looking him up on Netflix or iPlayer. Also, Simon Reeve has a lot of good documentaries which are linked to the topics we study, particularly damage to ecosystems. In terms of keeping up to date with the news, we'd recommend that all students have the BBC News app downloaded to their phone. And after they've downloaded it, we suggest that on the topics they select science, nature and environment, and then that will ensure that when they're on that app, the BBC News app will display those stories which are most relevant to their GCSE studies. We also have a social media account, and our Instagram account will be displaying different examples of case studies. It'll also be giving helpful advice and tips in the lead up to the exams. So we recommend all students follow us on social media to get that additional advice and those extra case studies. Obviously, practicing past exam paper questions really, really important. They've been doing this in class, and when they have done this in class, they have been given model answers. These model answers for the GCSE questions will help them to plan better answers for the next time they have to do these questions, or if that same question comes up in a future exam. So it'll show them what they really need to do to hit those higher grades or hit their target grades. To support this, we also have kept all of the past papers from previous GCSE years, and these are available for students to collect if they wish. So we recommend coming to see their teacher or Mrs. Alderman, the learning leader for geography, at some point during the school day, either break time or lunchtime, and we can give them the exam papers which they wish to practice, so they can identify what topics they'd like to cover, and we would find them the appropriate exam paper to do in their own time, and then obviously bring that back and their teacher can mark it and give them feedback on it. So that's a really useful thing for them to be doing. And like we mentioned previously, case studies are really, really important for those longer answer questions, and they're absolutely vital for 8 and 12 mark questions. For those 8 and 12 mark questions, we use the A to F technique, with the B standing for bring in case study evidence. So they need to actually learn the names and facts about specific examples to include in those longer mark answers. So this is something which we will keep covering in the lead up to the exam, so they're fully confident with the A to F technique. We can give them also a list of case studies for each theme if they're struggling to come up with examples or struggling to know which examples they should be using for which topic. In terms of students keeping on top of their revision, we have personal learning checklists, which we'll be giving to the students once we start revising in class, but these are also available and ready for them beforehand so that they can assess their own levels of understanding. It's really important that their revision is focused and targeted to the areas they need the most support with. So using this personal learning checklist will allow them to identify the areas they are least confident with before they start their revision so they can plan their time accordingly. So come and get one of those from the humanities office or speak to your classroom teacher if you want one of those. And finally, one of our key messages is always that we are here available to ask for help whenever it's needed. So from the student's point of view, they can obviously email us or they can come and see us during their break time or lunchtime. And from you as parents and carers' point of view, if you have any questions about the GCSE course for geography or the structure of the exams, or if anything hasn't been clear in this presentation, please do email us. Our email addresses are there on the screen for you. And they all follow the same format, so we are easy to get hold of, and we'd much rather we get asked the question rather than the students worrying about something or having gaps in their understanding, which is holding them back from really progressing with their revision and their understanding. So we're always here, and we're happy to help if you have any further queries. Thank you.